just arrived, the AltRider Adjustable Aluminum Side Stand for the BMW R1300GS and GS Adventure. And it's the part number R130-2-2301. This does fit the GS Adventure that has the adaptive height control on it, which is what I've got. And the kit comes with the spring puller, 2 set screws that go into the holes there you can see on the lower part of the kickstand, and then the upper part of the kickstand is on the other side there. It's a pretty straightforward process of installing. This end goes inside here and you attach the set screws to hold it. You can adjust the height all the way in and out. It'll go up to here, as short as that, or as all the way probably to about here would be the longest you'd get out of it. And these set screws have, or the lower unit rather, has these ridges, and then on the upper part it has little cutouts inside here that it locks into place in, so it prevents it from sliding in and out. The unit itself has a nice large foot peg here to catch and be able to deploy it. It has a rubber piece here to prevent it from damaging the bike. It's made out of a forged aluminum piece of all single forged aluminum, very well made, very stout. It's definitely, I feel very confident it's going to be able to support the weight of the bike without any issues whatsoever. The lower unit's the same way. It has a single piece of forged aluminum, and the nice thing is it does have the larger foot already embedded in part of the unit itself, so that you have a more secure footprint when you're deploying the kickstand on soft ground and such. So it's already there. Most of the GS owners I see, they actually add this lower part on separately from BMW's standard foot peg. It's just really small for some reason. I don't know why they don't make it larger on the GS's, knowing that they're off-road and you're going to be in potentially soft ground or sand or other things that you'd be nice to have a larger footprint to deploy your kickstand on. So next step, what we'll do is we'll take this out to the bike and we will go ahead and get the factory kickstand off, and then we'll install this one, get it adjusted. I have found with the 1300 GSA, the way that it's designed or what comes with the bike on the kickstand rather, it leans over much more than my 1250, and it's harder to pick it up and off the kickstand when you're on any sort of slight downhill slant. It doesn't have to be very much at all, and it makes it very difficult to lift that weight. Once it's upright, it's balanced very well, but just to get it up off the kickstand and balanced up straight up and down can be an effort. So this will hopefully take that away because of that adjustability. I'm hoping that it'll get it much higher to the point where I won't need to put as much effort to get it standing upright to start driving it. And that was the main reason why I got this. I've heard from a number of people that they had the same complaint about the factory not putting a longer kickstand on the GSA, and especially in the adaptive height control one. It just makes it so difficult. It's so heavy to lift it over when it's on the kickstand. So let's go out and take the old one off and put the new one on. All right, outside, let's take a look at the lean angle. You can see it's quite extensive on the GSA with the factory installed kickstand. It leans over quite a bit. So we're trying to take it from that and bring it straight up so that it makes it easier to get it off the kickstand. If you look in the background, you see how it does come down on that downspout. Hopefully we'll stand it up. It won't touch the downspout when we do the comparison. But let's take a look at the two kickstands side by side before we install them. All right, so you can see here side by side comparison. Not a huge difference. That's all the way out to the longest it'll go on the kickstand from the adjustable one compared to the factory one that's here. And we'll see what the length does for it. Hopefully the angle and such, it's a little different obviously because I've got it inside there. It's not sitting exactly where the other one is, so there's a little bit of difference. But I'm not sure if the length here or the angle will be a little different also, and give it a little bit more upright positioning. But it is more stout. I mean, look at the difference in the width and so forth. That the AltRider is a lot stouter made compared to the other factory model anyway. And so the foot peg here, or the foot add-on thing that I bought online to add to the factory one, you can see the factory one is inside here. That's really small. That's how big the footprint is for this kickstand as compared to the forged one for the AltRider. So it's definitely got a much bigger footprint than the factory model, hence why most people are putting on these add-on things to give it a larger footprint. So we'll see how it goes. It's definitely stouter and bigger than the factory one for sure, and hopefully it'll end up being a better positioning. So let's go get the old one off. It looks like we've got a torque screw up here that we're going to need to take out. Of course, we'll need to pull the springs off the back here and get that off the bike, and that'll loosen it up and allow it to come off. It should be pretty straightforward from that standpoint, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so this is the part number for the kickstand that comes from the factory. If you have this part number on your GSA, then this part number that I had put up at the beginning is the correct kickstand from AltRider that works with the GSA that has this style kickstand. Due to the fact there's different suspensions and so forth, they have different part numbers, different lengths of the kickstand, so just make sure you check with AltRider first. But this one is the correct part number that works with the kickstand we're installing today from AltRider. Okay, so what I ended up doing is using the washer method of getting the spring to be a little looser. And what I essentially did is I took a pair of vice grips and I pried against the spring to open it up and get these washers inserted to give it a little bit of room. And then the puller that came with it, I would not rely on it. It broke. So I would have a nice puller or use your own pullers. I decided just to make something simple. I took a rope with a piece of PVC and just wrapped it around the spring and got it on there, and I'm able to put a light pressure on it and it came right off. So if you're looking to do this, I would recommend a good puller or use this kind of method. When I install it, it actually was able to install it pretty simply as well. The washers allow that not to be so tight, and it makes it easy to come right off. All right, first step is to take this lower, or the behind the kickstand switch here that tells whether or not the kickstand is up. That's a T30 on that side, and so we'll take that off there, and then up on this side there's a T50 Torx inside there, and my guess is that there's a nut behind here that we'll have to put a wrench on and take it off that way, but we first need to take off the switch that determines if the kickstand's up and down. Again, this little guy right there is a T30. Okay, so on the back side there is no nut, which is nice. All you need to do is take that T30 screw out. It does have some LocTite on it, so make sure you put LocTite back on when you put it back on, and it just is going to unthread with the T50. It'll just unscrew and take that right off. Okay, so there we go. That is the screw that came out that holds on the kickstand. So we'll reuse that going back in. It also does have some blue LocTite on it, so we'll be sure to add some LocTite to the screw when we put it back in with a new one. Okay, so we have the new kickstand on using that same bolt. Went right through, no problem, with the T50 on the top. Secured it down. You can check the manual for the proper foot-pounds of torque. I tightened it down pretty tight about what it was when I took it off. I do have the blue LocTite on there as well. So now we're going to reattach this piece to the back side and screw it in with the same thing with some blue LocTite and a T30. Okay, so there it is installed back in. It only goes in one way. There's a little groove there. You can see where the post goes in there, so it's straightforward. You can't put it in backwards or anything. And so it's all set in there, tightened up, and so now we need to put the spring back on. All right, so the spring is back on, went on very easily with this washer method. The tension is very light, and now we just need to remove the washers so it'll be ready to go. Okay, There it is, all installed, all put back together. Screw on the back is all in, the spring's on, sits up nicely. We'll go outside and take a look and see how it angle is. Not sure how well that's going to catch. It seems pretty tight in there, but we'll see how well you can actually grab onto it with your foot. All right, well, it's installed, doesn't interfere with anything, and it's easy to put down with your foot. The angle of uprightness is a little better than the factory. Not as great as I was hoping it would be, but it definitely will help. They do make a sport suspension version that will be coming out soon, and that might allow it to be a little taller. If you look at the before photos here, you'll notice that the handlebar coming down towards the downspout in the background there, and then if we switch to the AltRider, you notice that it's not leaning over as much. So it's definitely helping, and I'm looking forward to the sport suspension version to see if that's going to help even more with a little slighter upright positioning, and that certainly should help. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.